made us connected with this process, and then we are still here because of that. So we should, I think, be very, very thankful for it. And so now I want to talk about the next phase, where just before initiation or after initiation. So I was thinking, I mean, holy names have been so merciful on me, unintentionally they have been part of my life. And now I was thinking, how am I reciprocating? Like, how am I dealing with the holy names, especially after initiation? And I was thinking, what has been the reciprocation from my side? And have I been treating the holy name that it should be treated like, or they should be treated like? And then soon after, I kind of realized that few things came up as like glaring facts. In the sense that I was treating holy names as important, like meaning holy names were important to me, chanting was important, but it was one of the important things. It was not the only important thing or the main thing. And also, I realized that my chanting was very casual, kind of irregular. I was chanting, but irregular. And the chanting was mostly out of obligation to the vows, and maybe out of fear too, because, okay, I bowed in front of fire to Maharaj, so I should chant. So it was more of that kind of a mentality. And this got really triggered when a few months ago, maybe 6 months ago, I was chanting one evening. As I said, I don't chant only in the morning, I irregularly chant sometimes in the evening. So I was chanting in the evening one day, and then my younger daughter, at that time she was like 4 years old, she came to me and said, Dad, do you really like chanting? So that was her question. And the reaction, her tone, everything sounded to me like a slightly different question. It sounded to me like, Dad, are you sure you're liking this chanting? So that's how it sounded like. And I was like, okay, thinking about this. So definitely for this child, doesn't look like I'm enjoying this process, right? I mean, definitely internally thinking I'm not enjoying it. I mean, because I was not very satisfied. I didn't have this eagerness to chant. I didn't have this attraction to chanting. And clearly this external small kid, she could sense that I was not happy either. So then I was thinking, okay, this is a proven process. So many people are chanting, they're like perfecting their lives. And for example, Maharaj, like personalities, they've been chanting for like 50 years, no problem. It's only getting better and better for them. So then definitely it's an implementation problem, like user error. So then I was starting to kind of think about why is this happening to me and what's the problem? And I was thinking, okay, what is my understanding of this holy name or the chanting process? Two things came up. One is, I have like two misunderstandings about this process. One is that when we always hear that just one time purely chanting is good enough for this deliverance, right? I mean, we say holy names are so pure that one time you purely chant and then you'll be delivered from this life. So I was always thinking that by hit or miss, or I can maybe one time chant purely when I'm chanting so many times. It'll just happen. So I don't have to put too much effort into that. And second misunderstanding is that I think about, I'm at least chanting. There are so many people not chanting, so I'm much better than them. So I'm still in a better situation. So this was my kind of understanding. And now it made me wonder, what should the relationship be? Or how should we chant the holy names? Or how should I even chant the holy names? And what is it supposed to be? So then I started kind of researching on this topic on how should one chant and how should we keep a relationship with the holy name. And I came across this very nice seminar by Her Grace Devaki Mataji, who is like, I think, Niranjan Maharaj's disciple. So she has a very nice seminar on why chanting is not very attracted to most of us, or definitely I could connect to this. She says basically it's because of we are typically favorable to chanting, but the problem is that we take this relationship for granted. Because we are over familiar with these holy names, we have heard them for so long, 15 years. In my case, I've heard the holy name. I've been talked about how important it is. And at some point it has become like over familiar, and I've been taking it for granted. So not giving it the attention. That's one issue that Mataji was bringing up for the reason for not having chanting taste. And then the other reason she mentions in the seminar is seeing Krishna and holy names as different. I mean, we heard today from Maharaj that holy names are very, very powerful, but then the power behind the holy name is because of the person Krishna. And that distinction, if there is no connection between the two, then we will miss the point and we will not have that traction. So to summarize, Mataji in the seminar is saying that when we do inattentive chanting, it's like taking empty capsules. So there's a capsule, there are two pieces in a capsule, and there's a medicine inside it. And then it's put together, and then you swallow it, and then that's how you get cured. But if you're doing inattentive chanting, Mataji says it's like taking empty capsule, and there will be no effect. You can take medicines for many years, but there will be no effect. And in the seminar, she further describes that this inattentive chanting comes from three different places. Inattentiveness at the level of mind, inattentiveness from the level of body, and then from the heart. So the body, inattentiveness in the level of body means you're doing something with chanting. Chanting is not the only thing. You're doing something with chanting. So now I wanted to maybe ask some audience participation on what is your favorite distraction when you chant from a bodily perspective or a physical perspective. So Prabhu was saying phone, and we saw it from Maharaj's slide today too. So what else is your favorite yes, Prabhu? Mind. Yeah, so that mind is a separate category, but just physically, what is distracting you when you chant? Okay, phone is one.
Knees and back.
Knees and back. Okay, body, maybe pain or ailment. Mm-hmm. Cooking during chanting. What else? Talking, yep.
Other responsibilities.
Other responsibility, multitasking, parallel processing. Yep. Sleepiness, yep. Anything else? Work? Walking, yeah. Yep, thank you for sharing. So if you look at all this, like walking, phone, other responsibilities, it kind of boils to the point that you think other things are also important as chanting, or those are more important than chanting. Because in other words, it's almost like you want to pass this boring time of chanting with something. Because it's by itself, chanting is not enjoyable, because we are not doing it the right way. So that's why we want to do something so that it doesn't feel like a big burden to chant when you're doing something else. And driving is another example, and I'm guilty of doing all this. So, and Mataji was interestingly pointing out that we have this one finger outside when we chant, and she was saying that a lot of devotees think that it's Krishna's arrangement for this Kali Yuga, that people will be so busy that they have to multiprocess, that this one finger is out, so they can still use it for something. So that's how Mataji puts it. And other thing Mataji is really upset about is the clickers. I mean, I'm guilty of doing this. A lot of us, sorry, I shouldn't say a lot of us, but I'm guilty of doing this. So clicker, she says, when people chant on clickers, she says that's the most effective way of inattentive chanting. Because when you're chanting on the clickers, it's clearly an indication that it's not the time for chanting. Because you want to hide that chanting, right, from others, and you want to just multiprocess. While going to shopping, you chant on clickers. So she says clicker is something that devotees should totally avoid. The other example she says is about even eating, for example, right? When we eat, it's not like we get up and then go attend something. It's like you go and take the phone if it's ringing. Because we know eating is important. At that time, focus is on eating. But we don't do the same thing for chanting. So because that's the problem we have. So that's at the body level. So now, if I can ask from a level of mind, what are some inattentiveness that occurs or happens or comes in the level of mind? To-do list, exactly. To-do list. So to-do list, and then, what did you say, Prabhu? Yeah, readiness and homework. Yeah. Personally, for me, I remember that. I mean, every day it happens almost. That I would be like staring at the deities photo in my home, or I'll be staring here at the deities, but in the mind, I'll be thinking about what should I do in the meeting, like coming up in 2 hours. And I almost think that sometimes, I don't know if this has happened to you, but many times it has happened to me that when you're chanting, it seems like the best ideas come at that time. And almost you think like this is Krishna's mercy that it's coming at that time, that, oh, it's Krishna's blessing and then I should do this way because it came at the time of chanting. So again, this Amarendra Prabhu was explaining in one of the lectures that this is the trick of the mind. Mind is such an evil thing that although it's as if it's trying to help the soul, but it's actually killing the soul because it wants to seem as if it's helping the soul, but it is not. It says, oh, now it's like you have to plan for this, you have to plan for that, get up because your legs might hurt. Just chant and, walk and chant, do something because it doesn't want you to focus on chanting. So then the third part of inattentiveness is from the heart. And this is a little subtle, but Mataji in the lecture or in the seminar says that the chanting, as we have heard from Prabhupada also, that chanting should be in a helpless mood, right? A child crying for a mother. And this Mataji was explaining that when a child cries for a mother, it's not thinking about anything else. It's just crying. And all it wants is mother, and it wants mother now. So it wants the mother and it wants the mother now. So that's the helpless calling. And it's not like it's thinking in the mind while crying that, oh, I want to do this, I want to play with that toy, I want to go eat that. No, so it's just crying for the mother. So Prabhupada says this should be the mood. So now Mataji, I also wanted to share what Mataji gives us tips to overcome these inattentiveness from a level of body, body, mind and heart. So for the body, I think it's obvious that 100% we can control inattentiveness. We can avoid using phones, we can avoid multitasking, we can avoid cooking, we can avoid talking. It's amazing, Mataji was sharing that devotees in dhams, they chant one round and then they ask a question. And when they're asking a question, another devotee completes one round. One mala, one Hare Krishna Mahamantra. And then when that Prabhu is answering, then this person who asked the question chants few more Mahamantras. So that's how people treat Mahamantra sometimes, which is very, very sad state of affairs because they don't see the importance, the value of the holy names. So then, the level of the body, of course, we can control ourselves. We should make it we should make an endeavor to avoid any distraction. And then from the level of mind, again, which is a little more subtle than the body, she says we should regularly hear. We heard from Maharaj also that when we chant, we should be hearing in our ears. Because when you hear, then the mind is less distracted. And then she says the regularity in one's life really helps control the mind. For example, when we get up in the morning, we don't think about whether to brush or not. The mind doesn't say, oh, why do you want to brush now? Why don't you brush like 4 hours later? Or why not skip brush today? Let's brush tomorrow. The mind doesn't say that because the mind knows as soon as we get up, we will brush. So similarly, Mataji was saying that when we have a regularity in life, okay, we get up this time, we sleep this time, and then first thing we do is like we take a shower or whatever, and we chant at this time, in this position, in this place. So this way, so if we have some regularity in life, then mind doesn't oppose much. So that's one of the tips Mataji gives. And then and from the level of heart, again, it's very, very subtle that how can you cry, right? Because, the instruction is that you have to cry from the heart, meaning you have to be very desperate. But if you look at all of us, there's nothing like imminent danger happening that we are like desperate. We have a comfortable life, we have a healthy everything, right? We are not desperate for anything to cry out. But then I was thinking about this, that are we able to, am I able to even focus one time Hare Krishna Mahamantra with my mind? Isn't that a good enough reason to be helpless? Because if you're very controlling, or if you have everything under control, then you should be able to chant attentively. But I'm not able to. And that is one reason why you should be helpless while chanting. Okay, give me the attention, help me gain some attention here. So again, that's the tip, and all of us have to work on ourselves. Like personally, it was very instructive that, okay, we have to identify what works for us, and then how can we avoid these inattentiveness from the level of body, mind, and heart. So finally, Mataji in the seminar says that, of course, we have been, or generally, the inattentiveness in chanting has been happening for many years for many of us. The best way to tackle this is we cannot wish for overnight change. I mean, we cannot imagine that tomorrow, okay, I've heard all this today, tomorrow I'm going to do all 16 rounds attentively. That won't happen because we have been doing this for millions of years. So she says one first step is to pick 2 or 4 rounds. Just pick 2 or 4 rounds out of your 16 rounds and then try to apply these 3. Not being inattentive from a body, mind, and then heart perspective. Because she says the problem is we don't know what attentive chanting means. We haven't experienced attentive chanting. Because once we experience attentive chanting, then gradually we will give up the inattentive chanting and then we will move more rounds from that bucket to this bucket. So the first step is to basically pick at least 2 or 4 rounds and then make sure we do it attentively from body, mind, and heart perspective. And she also says in the end that there are still 2 benefits of inattentive chanting. If at all there is any benefit of inattentive chanting, there are 2. Firstly, that you are meeting the vows, right? So we are meeting the vows like I'm doing. And then second is, you will have an opportunity to attend a seminar like this. You will have an opportunity to be in association with Maharaj or personalities like Maharaj, or be part of this tomorrow's Japa 64 round day. So that's the benefit still that you get. But that's not the end of it, and we should take it forward because we have been given this opportunity. So to kind of summarize, any relationship needs endeavor, right? I mean, between a husband and wife, we need to invest in the relationship and we need to endeavor kind of supporting each other. So same thing applies to the holy name too. And again, it goes back to 2 things: mindfully turning to Krishna from a heart, mind and heart perspective, body perspective, and we have to have this longing to serve Krishna. So to summarize, I kind of realized that again, the first phase of my life, holy names were kind of blessed on me through my childhood, through like devotees association. And then recently, like pre and post initiation, I realized that I was not respecting the holy name like I should have been. And when I was wondering why all these came up, and ultimately it comes down to how attentive or how do you treat the holy name. And this was kind of very useful exercise for me to realize where am I, what to do next, and then how can we get out of the situation. And this also, I came to realize that this also applies totally to Kirtan. It's just not during chanting that all these apply. I mean, this attentiveness to holy name and everything also applies when you do Kirtan. So the Kirtan leader, when he's leading, he also needs to be attentive in terms of mind, heart, and body. Because unless you have the right mood, I mean, when people hearing are not benefited. So I think it's another lesson for us here that this applies to Kirtan too, which we are very much eager about here. The one last thing I wanted to share is that Sachinandan Maharaj has a book called The Nectarian Ocean of Holy Name. And there he says how easy it is to chant these Maha Mantra. If you look at the Maha Mantra, when you chant, if you can chant with me, that'll be nice. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. If you had noticed, your tongue would be like going up and down. That's all it does. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. So it just goes up and down. It's not like, for example, if you say Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya, you can see how many movements are happening in the mouth. But Hare Krishna is so simple. So he says this process is so simple. Uttering Hare Krishna Mahamantra is so simple. Just the one piece missing is the attentiveness or the eagerness to chant and hearing. So to conclude, I heard this one nice verse from Gauranga Darshan Prabhu. From this Stavavali is called, and then this verse kind of summarizes what we discussed. So it says, Radheti nama navasundara sindhu mugdham Krishneti nama maduradbhuta gada dugdham Sarvakshanam surabhiraga himena ramyam Kritvada deva pibame rasanekshudharte. So it says, basically, Prabhu, I will paraphrase it. It says, Krishna's names are like condensed milk. right? And Radha's names are like nectar. So Krishna's and Radha's name, when you put together, it's like condensed milk mixed with nectar, which is already sweet. And he says, when we have this eagerness, that's the chillness or the coolness to this drink. So Prabhupada always says that kheer should be taken cold, right? So this is an analogy that when you have Krishna and Radha named together, then it's like nectar plus condensed milk, and then you add this eagerness of chillness, and it becomes very satisfying to your thirst for tasting the holy name. So that's how he kind of summarizes this chanting. And we have seen so many times in Harinam that people, first time hearing, like Americans, Europeans, like totally random people hearing Harinam first time, they start dancing. I mean, they at least start smiling, and it's very rare that someone like rejects us when we go on Harinam. And that kind of shows us that Harinam has some potency. I mean, definitely potency, like to even new members. Just hearing one time, they get this kind of happy feeling. And I was just trying to remember, one time 2 years ago, we were in Harinam, and at that time, we were in a new place, and we were carrying this big banner, Hare Krishna Mahamantra, and then we were in Scottsdale Mall area. And we were doing Harinam, and suddenly, like, there were like 2 cops' car that came and stopped in front of us. And then like 4 cops came out, and then they were like asking, like, what are you doing? Why are you here? And because the problem was that we were doing in this mall area, and one of the shop owners basically called the police saying something is happening here, some protest is happening. These people are fighting for something. We were like, fighting for what? And then Anjali Mataji was there at that time, and she explained to them that, oh, we are just chanting God's names for the well-being of the whole Phoenix area, Scottsdale area, and we have nothing ulterior motive here. We're just chanting the God's names, and you can look at our books. And then the policeman looked at the books, and then the police guy called his chief in the office, and then he explained that these people are not as serious as what we thought. They're just walking around chanting something. And then the chief said, oh, that's okay, just come, let them go. And then we also gave this policeman like 2 books, and he purchased a couple books and he took it. So I was just thinking like how, I mean, Maharaj was mentioning yesterday that chanting removes fear. And until that time, I always had this fear that, oh, Harinam, we have to be careful. Someone might not like it. Someone might hurt us. Someone might complain. But since that thing happened, like when police got convinced and they went back, and no, I mean, if you're not afraid of police, who else we need to be afraid of, right? So, I mean, again, it kind of convinced me that Harinam, like fearless, I saw it like happen right in front of me. So, again, I'm very, very fortunate for Harinam to be part of my life, and I sincerely wish and hope and pray to you all and to the Parampara that I can at least have some tinge of attention or attentiveness to the Harinam, and that way get benefited from this association and Harinam's mercy. So I just had one quick bhajan that I wanted to sing, and this bhajan only has Harinam, like no other words, it's just names of Krishna. For a few minutes we can maybe sing that, and then I'll transition over to Mataji, if it's okay. Okay. Can someone play Mridanga, one of the boys? Yeah. So this is a very simple bhajan, you can just repeat after me. Vande Krishna Nanda Kumara, De Krishna Nanda Kumara, Vande Krishna Nanda Kumara, De Krishna Nanda Kumara, Nanda Kumara Madana Gopala, Nanda Kumara Gopala, Nanda Kumara Madana Gopala, Nanda Kumara Madana Gopala, Madana Gopala Mohana Rupa, Madana Gopala Mohana Rupa, Madana Gopala Mohana Rupa, Madana Mohana Rupa, Mohana Rupa Nanda Kumara, Mohana Rupa Nanda Kumara, Oh Mohana Rupa Nanda Kumara, Mohana Rupa Nanda Kumara, जय जय देव हरि जय जय देव हरि ओ जय जय देव हरि जय जय देव हरि जय राम हरि जय कृष्ण हरि जय राम हरि जय कृष्ण जय राम हरि जय कृष्ण हरि राम हरि जय कृष्ण हरि जय जय सच्चिनंदन गौर हरि जय सच्चिनंदन गौर जय जय सच्चिनंदन गौर हरि जय जय सच्चिनंदन गौर हरि जय जय देव हरि जय जय देव हरि जय जय देव हरि जय जय देव हरि ओ वन्दे कृष्णानन्द कुमार वन्दे कृष्णानन्द कुमार वन्दे कृष्णानन्द कुमार वन्दे कृष्णानन्द कुमार नंद कुमार मदन गोपाल नंद कुमार मदन गोपाल नंद कुमार मदन गोपाल नंद कुमार मदन गोपाल ओ मदन गोपाल मोहन रूपा मदन गोपाल मोहन ओ मदन गोपाल मोहन रूपा मदन मोहन रूपा ओ मोहन रूपा नंद कुमार मोहन रूपा नंद कुमार मोहन रूपा नंद कुमार रूपा नंद कुमार ओ जय जय देव हरि जय जय देव हरि ओ जय जय देव हरि जय जय देव हरि जय राम हरि जय कृष्ण हरि राम हरि जय कृष्ण हरि जय राम हरि जय कृष्ण हरि राम हरि जय कृष्ण हरि जय जय सच्चिनंदन गौर हरि जय सच्चिनंदन गौर हरि जय जय सच्चिनंदन गौर हरि जय सच्चिनंदन गौर हरि जय जय देव हरि जय जय देव हरि ओ जय जय देव हरि देव हरि हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हे वन्दे कृष्णानन्द कुमार वन्दे कृष्णानन्द कुमार नन्द कुमार मदन गोपाल नन्द कुमार मदन गोपाल मोहन रूपा मदन गोपाल मोहन रूपा नंद कुमार मोहन रूपा नंद कुमार ओ जय जय देव हरि जय जय देव हरि जय जय Sankirtan ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Thank you very much, Prabhu, for a very wonderful realization, and thank you so much for your extremely kind words. Is everybody ready for a story? The America honey. So, about 32 years ago, as all of you know, my background is not Indian background, but it's come from a Roman Catholic background. From childhood, I've always been, kind of inclined to, please follow. Okay. So I inclined to either go to church, being in the choir, maybe that's why I love kirtan so much, or growing up even teaching the children in the choir, etc. But for some reason, you were talking about the seed, right? For some reason, I was always inclined, I was always attracted to the Middle East, Far East, what is there? What is the teachings, we hear the stories, because once upon a time in school, when schools were doing very well with their curriculums, we used to study, the world geography and literature and everything, right? In your equivalent would be middle school, secondary, like middle school. So we came to study India, and that was the first time I read Mahabharata and Ramayana. Of course, it's a part of the greatest literature, right? And it was fascinating. And then politically, knowing that India, had the first a very strong, woman, having the largest democracy. So it was fascinating. So about 32, 33 years ago, I went to India. And I want to try to make a long story short. The first time I heard the holy name, the chanting of Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, was at the Juhu temple. I often used to tell His Holiness Giriraj Swami, just to see, we have the Juhu connection. Because the first time I heard and I saw the devotees dancing and chanting was at the Juhu temple. And I was like, wow, Why did I ended up going to the Juhu temple? I have no idea. I was a tourist. But I remember, wow, these guys have a very good rhythm, Little that I knew that later on I will be dancing and chanting as well. As a matter of fact, it was at the Juhu temple that I first got my copy of Tincha for Queen Kunti in Spanish. Go figure, right? And after that, just a few days later, I traveled from Mumbai to Delhi. And I took a tour, right? But I took a tour with the local Indian tourists. And where did we go? Yes, of course, Taj Mahal and all this. But we ended up going to, close, Mathura. And I was like, okay, that's nice. And it's like, where am I? So many. Because there was actually, after the bomb blast, literally right after the bomb blast. So there was a lot of, soldiers and security and all these things. What am I doing here? And then I asked her, so what is this place? Oh, this is with, the birthplace of Krishna. Krishna. Oh, the Hindu god. Because at that time, just like many, we were under the impression that Krishna was a Hindu god. Krishna is not a Hindu god. Krishna is God. He's the Supreme Personality of Godhead, right? So, I didn't make the connection. I was fascinated, it was to ask a few questions, but it was probably the seed was planted at that time. I went back to Mexico. I was supposed to come to Pittsburgh for 6 years for training with the company I was working with. And Krishna had other plans, because then I met my husband. So Kanapri and I just been married for 30 years. And at that time I was going to church, and I was reading, some Bhagavad Gitas, but they were not very convincing, there was something was missing. But then he had a copy of Bhagavad Gita as it is. Wow. It changed my life. We were living in Pittsburgh at the time, so we used to go to New Vrindavan. And we had not joined ISKCON at that time, per se, We would go to New Vrindavan, and I remember in New Vrindavan they used to have these big pictures and the quote from Bhagavad Gita, and I used to ask him, what kind of God is asking his devotee to go and fight? What kind of loving God will ask him? I didn't know. But, what is the connection? Something was asking me to, I was being drawn to reading, to try to understand a little bit. I was not chanting, except for the kirtans. I used to play, the kirtans. But something was taking place in my heart. Actually, in our heart, because it was our journey. Again, we started reading Bhagavad Gita as it is, I have to say very casually. We will read it, we'll do puja, but it was, And of course, it was not my background, so therefore I have to kind of learn a little bit more to kind of catch up with my husband of what was these teachings were all about, what is, who's Krishna, what is there, and why is he asking Arjuna to fight? He's supposed to be, God's supposed to be give you peace, not sending you to war, this kind of things. We moved to Boston, 1994, 96, early 1996 we moved to Boston. We didn't have GPS or anything, so we didn't know where Boston Temple was. We had to kind of give us directions. He had done his MBA in Massachusetts, so he was somehow familiar with the roads. So again, at home we will be doing our readings in the morning, and he will do his puja. I will just continue with my prayers, whatever, And one day, my daughter was a baby. He said, let's go for a drive. Okay, so we hopped into the car and started driving. After 40 minutes, driving on the same street, we turn around and we see 72 Commonwealth Avenue, ISKCON Boston. I'm like, oh, we found it. It's right here. And hasn't anybody been in Boston? Okay, so you know that there's no place to park. Okay, there was one parking spot right there, So of course we took advantage. We parked. It was in the afternoon because The curtains probably had just opened. Sri Sri Radha, Gopi Vallabha were just so merciful, shining. The temple room was so inviting. Srila Prabhupada, it's like welcome, you know. It's difficult to me to explain to you what I was feeling at that time. It's like something happened. I didn't connect the points at that time. You know when I connect the dots? When I was asked to talk today. Because I was listening to an interview by Dushala Devi Dasi, you know, Her Grace Dushala Devi Dasi, and yesterday during the A Bond of Love series by the Vaishnava Ministry North America, please watch them. Because she says something very important, you know, when somebody asks her, so why is it important to be connected to Srila Prabhupada? And how did you make that connection? And she said, well, you know, when you first hear the holy name or you hear the spiritual master, you make that initial connection. It's like the seed is planted in your heart, you know. So when you hear the holy name, when you hear your Guru Maharaj, when you receive that instruction, it's like, even without receiving instructions, you just make a connection. And she mentioned how Srila Prabhupada, right, when he met his spiritual master, Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, he didn't give him an initiation immediately. He came to a lecture, he made an impact, right? He planted the seed. And it took years before Prabhupada took initiation, right? So when she said that, I was like, wow, my journey actually started 32, 33 years ago. When I first heard the holy name. And probably even before, when I was at school, when I first read Mahabharata. And it was, wow. Well, I have to say, you know, I love to see the paintings when the ladies with these beautiful dresses and everything. Probably that's what caught my attention at that time. But you see how everything is, like you were saying, right? It's just where was the seed planted? And so years later, yes, we took formally, you know, initiation in Boston and everything in that service. And then we live happily ever after. No, it's been testing times. Because it's like, as Prabhu very nicely was saying, you know, the before and after. And sometimes we are like with the cheetah effect, you know. We want to do everything fast. We want to do everything by the books. We are very strict. We are this, we are that. But then we are forgetting why are we doing it, or why we are making that connection. And when we fail to pay attention to the intention of why we are chanting, why we are taking up the chanting of the holy name, we feel guilty. I'm not doing my japa. I'm doing so much work. And now what I do, I'm behind my japa, but I have to do this, I have to do that, and the mind is taking over. Our intelligence is totally bewildered. And our intelligence is and our mind is just being compromised. And instead of moving forward, and I said, okay, reset and go back, what do? We play soap operas in our mind. I cannot do it, I cannot do it, I cannot do it. Srila Prabhupada, right, he mentions like, he says, if you tell somebody, he says, chant, 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 he says like, can't. But it's important that we pay attention, that first of all, we believe in the holy name, in the power and the potency of the holy name. And all these kind of seminars, workshops is going to help us. But we have to understand that this is also a personal connection. And we are here to get support from everyone. Not to criticize everyone. You're not chanting 16 rounds, Prabhu. You're still chanting 16 rounds, Prabhu, after so many years. Everybody's journey is different. Our fingers are different, but they are attached to the same hand. Does that mean that the pinky is more important or my thumb is more important? All of them are important. How they come together to deliver a punch is what is important. One wonderful devotee, disciple of Srila Prabhupada, Mother Isha, one time there was a festival going on. I think it was Janmashtami, some kind of festivals. And devotees were rushing, in Hare Krishna, they were rushing here and there. And of course, when something was not going, tensions are there. Sometimes words will not come up in the right spirit. And one of the devotees, I think, was bringing a tray and almost hit her. So, oops, sorry. And then she just looked at him with a smile and said, did you remember Krishna today? Did you remember Krishna today? We always like to say, always remember Krishna, never forget Krishna, right? When we are chanting, we try to pay attention, we try to concentrate, and it's so true. This is the first time when so many ideas and so many things come up because we are not focusing. Taking the holy name for granted. The other day I heard Prabhu also, Rajesh Prabhu, talking about how we should never, we should not take for granted, devotees or disciples of Prabhupada. We should not take anything for granted, and even for granted, let alone the holy name for granted. Yes, we should chant just like a baby cries for his mother. But that cry is not a fake cry. Well, sometimes they do fake. But it should not be a fake cry. It should be a genuine cry. Attention to intention. Do I have to chant? Do I want to chant? Or do I need to chant? Which one am I falling in? My life is going okay. I'm just chanting because I vowed to buy 16 rounds, therefore it's well, we're going to be tested all around. We are going to be, our mind, the moment we sit in the morning and we plan, tomorrow, 4 o'clock in the morning, I'm going to start my chanting. And it comes. And then something happened, and it's 4:15, 4:30, 5 o'clock. Now I have to join the call. And, okay, it's okay if I chant while I'm having, with the Bhagavatam. So am I paying attention to one or to the other? To neither, right? Because, I was chanting, but I could not concentrate on the holy name. And on the other hand, what did Prabhu say? What Mataji said about the class? I have to go back. So I was not paying attention to neither one of them. So there was time, many years ago, you were talking about the clickers, right? Yeah, that is true. However, when you are sick, when you are at the hospital, and you cannot even move your fingers, a clicker will be a very, very handy if we want to keep, track of the chanting. Otherwise, your mind is also chanting. And there has been a time when, years ago, when I almost gave it up. Something happened, and then I said, no, this is just not for me. And I was almost depressed. And I couldn't concentrate. The quality of my chanting was terrible. And because I was going through so many health issues at that time, that were actually keeping me away from chanting properly. I mean, how am I going to chant? I cannot even hold my beads. You know, is this what it took chanting? I thought I was going to be happily ever after I took up my chanting. But it's been test after test after test. So, but how am I reacting to those tests? Is my faith becoming stronger, or is it diminishing? You know? So I said, like, well, just because some external reasons am I going to, which are material, and if I really understand that anything in this material realm is temporary, am I going to be giving this chanting and Krishna consciousness because of that? Then my faith is not strong. Then I have to work on my faith. I cannot say, well, Krishna, I'm going to chant if you give me this, if, then it's a business transaction. Then it's not really coming from the heart. And so, and I remember talking to Niranjana Swami, and I said, it's just like I cannot do it, the qualities, the guilt. And he said, stop, just stop. This guilt, is so detrimental for devotional service. It's so detrimental, and you're being so hard upon yourself. Just because you cannot do this, or your chanting is unique. Just pay attention to the quality, not to the quantity. When he said that, I was able to start chanting all my rounds again. Because before I was paying attention to the quantity. I have to finish quickly. I was not paying attention. And obviously, if the quality of my chanting was not good, how am I going to get any, peace? I myself was getting upset because I was not getting that quality. I was just rushing in the quality, in the quantity. So I started kind of gradually, and you say, oh, my japa is perfect today? Absolutely not. I'm still struggling. Yes, after 30 years, I'm still struggling. But now I understand where I'm making this mistake. And I have to make sure that I don't have time for this, I don't have time for that. We don't have time for anything. We have to make time for everything. We have to always remember also what Prabhupada emphasizes on health, sadhana, and service. And by the way, ladies, taking care of our children is our sadhana. Don't ever let anyone tell you that, oh, that's okay, just you can ignore them, you can just maybe put. No, taking care of your children, particularly when they are so small, is your sadhana. It's our sadhana. Where does Krishna live? Krishna is also in the heart of every single living entity. So those little guys, girls, right? Krishna is there. So we are serving them as well. We're chanting, we're sitting, we're chanting together. And Krishna has given us the capacity to love so much. that if we really understand and we really believe, at least the first 3 texts of Shikshashtakam, I always like to quote. Do we really believe that, yes, Chetodarpanamarjanam, that the holy name, the potency of the holy name is going to cleanse our heart, would get rid of all the anarthas? Do I believe that? Do I really believe? Because when I really believe it, then I'm just depositing on my faith account. And then even better, there are no hard and fast rules. I can chant anytime. Of course, morning time is better. But anytime. I don't have to wear this or wear that, or being here or being there, or sitting here or sitting there. No, I can chant anywhere. Oh, but there is a way that we need to chant. And how is that? With humility. Trinara pisunichara, tanora pisahistuna, manina madanena, kirtaniya sadahari. So, I cannot be chanting here and be disrespectful to everyone else. I cannot say, yes, I love you, Krishna, I respect you, but then I disrespect somebody else. How is that going to happen? How am I going to be respectful and tolerant with someone when I don't respect? It's not possible. So, trying to chant, when we are chanting, we are really crying. Actually, we are crying to Radharani. We are asking our Divine Mother to please engage us in the service of Krishna. And what I have come to realize after many years, it's something that I actually learned when I was a kid, that it is in giving that we receive. When we care for others, the Lord makes arrangements for us to approach Him more and more and more and remember Him even more. Yes, the mind, I tried to make some notes, but the mind is very flickering. And again, we can go to a lot of tests. Because today my chanting was so nice and we feel so late, the day goes wonderful. Today I didn't get up, I didn't finish my round in the mornings and everything, and we feel so bad. And again, it's like a roller coaster, right? But if we really have love in our heart, that is going to help us. That has helped me to keep on. As I said, I was ready to leave. I was ready to give up chanting the holy name. This is just not right. Because I was thinking that how come somebody else who's also chanting and is capable of causing harm, of causing these things to someone? But you know why? You know what? The Lord is there protecting us. The Lord is there telling us, I'm here. And when our mind is here and there, like we actually, can we do an exercise? And this actually I learned from Ramburu Prabhu, who's the director of the Karuna Care. It's like a grounding exercise. When our mind gets a little bit agitated and we do not know how to control it. Sunday school, sometimes the kids can be a little bit naughty. And so one way to bring them, to rest and at ease is by chanting. But if they are just chanting like that, sometimes they will like to rush, like Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna. we need to pronounce the holy names properly. It does make a difference. And we need to concentrate. So how about we do a little exercise? Everybody can sit whichever way you are comfortable. Take a deep breath in. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale. Now this time we're going to inhale, and as we exhale, we're going to chant Hare Krishna, and you can follow me. Hare Krishna. Inhale. Hare Krishna. Inhale. Krishna, Krishna. Inhale. Hare, Hare. Inhale. Hare Rama. Hare Rama. Rama, Rama. Hare, Hare. Again. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. Krishna, Krishna. Hare, Hare. Hare Rama. Hare Rama. Rama, Rama. Hare, Hare. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. Krishna, Krishna. Hare, Hare. Hare Rama. Hare Rama. Rama, Rama. Hare, Hare. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. Krishna, Krishna. Hare, Hare. Hare Rama. Hare Rama. Rama, Rama. Hare, Hare. So probably before chanting, or when we think that our mind is wandering here and there, just do a little exercise, breathing exercise, and kind of reconnect to what we're supposed to chant. I will end with something. Sometimes we doubt, right? We're chanting, is this chanting okay? Is this for me? What is the... I mean, I know it's supposed to be cleaning the heart from all these anarthas, but is the Lord really there? Is He listening to me? Because I have so many issues, and whether it is health or otherwise. But when we really accept the holy name, when we know, when we have faith, He does makes us feel that He is there. In one way or another, through the association of devotees, somehow He's going to make His point. But we need to make that connection And again, attention to intention. What is our intention? To connect, to serve. We serve Krishna for his pleasure, but for the benefit of all. If I just do it for me, mine, it's not going to happen. It's for all to come together, to catch the vibration and just like, get it there. He's there. I have had close calls 4 times. And in particular the 4th one, I could not chant. I was on bed, I was with cables, I was with, I didn't remember the single Sanskrit shloka. I kept chanting in my mind, but the only thing I remember was Krishna promises that he will carry what we lack and he will protect what we have. Of course, in my case, it's like I have nothing. But I believe in him, and I believe his devotees. And that is the power of association. And well-wishing for everyone is so important as well. And it makes the chanting better, because we are not doing it just for us. We are doing it for everyone. Again, it isn't given that we receive. And when we have that attitude, Krishna makes it possible for us to connect to those who are in the same vibration and who will be helping us to increase and to develop that faith that we need to put in our chanting in the holy name. A devotee many times or aspiring devotees will feel helpless. We feel helpless many times, and it's okay. But Niranjana Swami says, feeling helpless is okay, but not hopeless. Which is the difference. Being hopeless means that we have forgotten Krishna, that we forgot, that we don't have that faith. So it's okay to feel helpless, but not hopeless. Let's grab the holy name. Every one of us, every one of you here, have realized that connection one way or another. I know that for sure. All we have to do is just be attentive and conscious in calling Krishna and make the best bargain. One that is temporary, or we want to really the one that is eternal. So with that, thank you very much for your association, for asking us to talk today. It's a lot. It's been a journey. To summarize everything in 20 minutes, half an hour, all I can say is we started, there were some bumps on the road, and once we're ready to leave, Krishna says, I don't think so. Catch, you are here. And there were so many instances that I even said, I'm not going to give you any more class. I'm going to this, I'm going to that. I'm not going to read anymore. And suddenly, can you please give class on this and this and that? So I need to read more, right? Who was that? I was ready to give up on Krishna, but Krishna was not ready to give up on me. So that's what I'm saying. That is with every single one in this room has had one or another connection. Don't take those connections for granted. Absorb it. Live with that. You will hear that. You will see it. You will feel it. Always remember Krishna. Never forget Krishna. Thank you.
Hare Krishna, wasn't that really wonderful? Let's give a good round of applause again. as I was listening to both of them, I can just share one realization I had. You know, we have been seeing them all along. We hear so many times, but really it was so nice to just listen to the whole journey. Especially, I don't think I've heard so much of that from Kevala Bhakti Prabhu. So thank you so much for sharing. And of course, Mataji too. It is so nice. And again, not taking our relationship for granted either, because familiarity breeds contempt. We see them every day and we just think, you know, we see them every day, but I mean, such elevated souls. So thank you so much for sharing your journey with us. So next we have Rishta going to do Kirtan now. Hare Krishna.